Alex at ABR Houston West. Yes, we have a second location now with an air conditioning conundrum, and I'd like to tell you a little story about this G01 X3. So here's the situation. This car came in and it needed an evaporator, you know, the one that's in the way bottom of the middle of the dash. How do we take it out? Well, we got to take everything out of the inside out. That means center console, dash, steering wheel, all the electronics, cage, the evaporator box, and everything has to come out of the inside of this car in order to get to the evaporator. The situation is, though, is after we got done with the evaporator, we could not get the system to go under a heavy vacuum. What is a heavy vacuum? You know, and I know this is kind of nerd talk or whatever else, but when it comes to HVAC or heating and air conditioning, we've got to put the system under a vacuum. Why? Well, when we put the system under a vacuum, we're going to lower the boiling point of the entire system. By doing that, we can boil out all of the moisture that's in the system. Moisture is the arch enemy of your air conditioning on the inside. Automotive facilities have AC machines, and AC machines only measure in vacuum. The problem that we run into is vacuum is only measured with an analog gauge, and it's not measured in microns. Now, I've kind of gone down the deep wormhole of HVAC for some reason. After doing this for 25 years, there's one thing that you need to understand. You never stop learning. And I've gone and I've learned so much from a recent mentor who's in the HVAC game, and he has shown me the wonderful world of microns. Microns like 3 digits behind the decimal point, and vacuum being whole numbers. So what we do is we try to vacuum down to 500 microns or less, which is weird because those AC machines up there, when an HVAC technician comes and works on your house or on the industrial AC systems, 500 microns is just the bare minimum of what they need to pull these things down to. So how do you find a vacuum leak when it only leaks under vacuum and you can't hear it, you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't find it? What do you do? What do you do? Well, we ended up going a little bit above and beyond, but you know what? That's what we do here. We went a little above and beyond, and we started isolating the system to make sure that our repair and our diagnosis was 100% correct. So one of the things that we did was we took this back off. This is called the evaporator expansion valve. And so what this does, it takes Freon and it regulates how much goes in and out. It's kind of like the bouncer at the bar. There's 4 O-rings that sit on this. So we took this guy off, we put new seals on it, and we confirmed that they were clean and they were well seated. We also use this stuff, and it's called Nylog. Nylog is kind of like a thread sealant and a lubricant for the HVAC world. And so we put some of this goop on there as well to ensure that those seals were leaking. And guess what? It didn't do anything. So our next thought was, well, maybe it's down here and it's the heat exchanger. So this car really doesn't have a condenser like a conventional car. What it does is it uses a heat exchanger. It's this goofy thing down there. And what this thing does is it takes coolant from this tank and it pumps it into this manifold. The air conditioning Freon goes through it and it exchanges its heat through this little box here. It's super compact compared to a condenser, and they can regulate it much better. So we thought maybe this was leaking. So we took these guys off, we isolated it from the system, and we couldn't find a leak there either. We also pressurized it and checked to see if there was bubbles coming out of here. Couldn't find it there either. So now we were going, you know what else is left? And the only thing that was left was the compressor. So we took the lines off the compressor, we plugged it, and guess what? Now we have vacuum, and we're doing a great vacuum on this, which 300 microns, that is awesome. So what does that tell us? Well, we know that the front seal of the air compressor, there's a seal that goes around the shaft, is being pulled or deformed under heavy vacuum, which is causing a leak. And while it's doing that, we can't do anything about it. Once the vacuum is released, it kind of goes back to where it's supposed to. It starts to seal, which is the reason why we only lose a little bit of vacuum. And that's the reason why it doesn't leak under pressure, because the seal is doing its job. But now we know that our fix, the evaporator, and this system actually is in okay shape. So if you have air conditioning problems, this is the place to go. ABR Houston, we have one up in the Woodlands. We also have one down here in Katy on the west side of Houston, because ABR Houston is the best place to take a leak.